Hey, Steve Stine from Guitarzoom here. Thank you so much for joining me. Today what we're going to be doing is looking at how to change up your standard 1-4-5 chords a little bit when you're playing blues to make them sound a little bit more interesting. I've had a few requests for this, so I thought, what the heck, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So grab your guitar, get tuned up, and get ready to go, and I'll join you in a second. All right, now traditionally, let's just start off with the 1-4-5, if you will, in the key of A, and I'm using bar chords at this point, okay? So I'm going to be using just the A major, and the D major, and the E major. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to keep kind of leveling up here, giving you some different ideas if you've never done this before to try and make your blues sound a little more interesting for you and for a listener or something like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of these chords, these three major chords, and we're going to convert them into what we call seventh chords or dominant seventh chords. And don't really worry about the theory right now. If you don't understand any of those things at this point, it's okay. But let's just try and find some different ways of making this sound a little more interesting with these seventh chord sounds. So what we're going to do is take this A major that we've got here. We're going to take the pinky off the guitar. What that does is it takes this note here, which was A, and it turns it into G. And that note makes that chord sound like an A7 or A dominant seventh, we refer to it as. Okay, and you can already tell it sounds a little more bluesy with that sound in there. So if you've never done that before, start with that. Now, if you've already done that before, the next step is we can take the pinky and we can place it on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, which is just an octave of that same 7th, but it sounds really neat. With that high 7th up there. And you can add it and take it back off. There's all kinds of really neat things like that that you can do. So that's just adding the 7th onto the one chord, the A chord in this case. Again, if we're playing a 12-bar blues using a 1-4-5, for instance, we're just taking that one chord and converting it at this point to a 7th or dominant 7th. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move down to the 4 chord, which is D, and we're going to turn that into a 7th chord as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bar over everything, but instead of barring with our 3rd finger over the 7th fret of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, we're actually going to just place the ring finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and then place our pinky on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and leave that 3rd string open to be part of the bar. And now we've got ourselves a 7th sound there as well. Okay, and then for the 5 chord, all we have to do is take this chord, which is D7 at this point, and move up 2 frets higher, and we've got our 5 chord, which is E7. So we've got A7, or this way, D7, and E7. Now remember, all this stuff is movable too when you learn it. So if you wanted to be in the key of G, you would just move down to G, and you'd play G7 would be your 1, C7 would be your 4, and D7 would be your 5. 1, 4, 5. Okay? Or if you want to be in the key of F for that matter, 1, 4, 5. You can just move anywhere you want to go across the fretboard. That's what makes the guitar so awesome that way. Okay, so if that makes sense, let's move up to the next level. What we're going to do is start changing some of the chords that we're playing now. We're going to change those shapes into some other things. And this can go on for a really long time. I just want to give you a few different ideas so you've got some things to work with and have some fun with. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this A7 that we've created. And another really great thing to do is, since your pinky is available anyway, you could take your pinky and place it down here on the 8th fret of the 1st string, which is kind of interesting because you're playing an A7 chord, but then you're adding in the sound of this note C right here, which gives you C sharp on this string and C on this string, which normally don't sound so good together, but in the blues, it makes for a really nice kind of clash of sounds. And again, all you're doing is just finding somewhere to put your pinky when you're playing this chord to make it sound a little more interesting. So you could do things like this. You could be playing your A7 and then add your pinky on the second string like we talked about. You know, just different things like that to make it sound a little more interesting. Now that might lead you into another place where you're like, well, if I can do that, maybe, you know, I'll put my pinky on this fret. And that's wonderful. There's all kinds of really great things that you can do if you start exploring that. This will just kind of get you going. So let's move on now to some other chords. So we're going to take that A7, and instead of playing the A7, what we're actually going to do is play an A9 chord, which is what I was using in the beginning there. But in order to play this, what I'm doing is I'm leaving the A out entirely. So what I'm doing is playing 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay, so this chord is an A9, but I'm only using 4 fingers and I'm not playing the note A at all in the chord, which is kind of interesting. So sometimes what I'll do is play A7, and then maybe go to that or whatever I might do. If there's a bass player, another guitar player playing, maybe they're playing an A, and then you don't even have to worry about it, right? Because the A isn't even part of your chord, but the ear kind of assumes that it can fill in the blanks as needed. So you don't have to feel bad if you're playing this A9, but there's no A in there. Again, if you're playing in a band setting, the A is going to be in there by somebody, and even if you're not, it still sounds fine. So this is a really fun way of transitioning to a brand new chord shape. Okay, and then A would be the bass, but we're just not using that. Okay, so you'll notice what I'm doing is playing first finger here, my middle finger on the 3rd string, my ring finger on the 4th string, and my pinky on the 2nd string. Okay, and then I'll do little walks like this, or little slides, little things like that that sound kind of neat too. So now you could start kind of exploring, if you're playing 12-bar blues, maybe the first time around, you're just using an A7 or, you know, one of these other sounds. And then the second time around, you start adding in the sound, or, you know, you have to explore. That's the fun of this, okay? So now I've got this, which is a nice little substitution for that shape. Now I'm going to go to my 4 chord. Well, I'd have D7, but instead of going to D7, I'm going to play what's called a D9 chord, which is done like this, which is 5, 4, 5, 5. And that sounds really nice. And again, you can do little walk-ups or little slides. Sound really neat. And what's kind of cool about this is my pinky now is like an anchor from this A9 shape we were doing, and then switching back over to this shape. So I can keep that pinky there if I choose, and I can just pivot back and forth between those, which is kind of cool. Now that's my 4 chord. I'm playing D9 at this point. When I move to the 5 chord, what I like to play is what's called a D sharp 9. I'm going to take that pinky and I'm going to move it up 1 fret like this. And those are some different shapes that you can use for your 1 and your 4 and your 5 chord. So if you like this video, please do me a favor, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Listen, if you're ready to take your guitar playing to the next level, then I'd like to invite you to go to guitarzoom.com and sign up for a VIP membership, which gives you first access to my premium lessons each month, which are customized for your specific goals and skill level. Now, it's an awesome community of guitar players that love to play, have fun, and support each other's goals, and we'd love to have you join us. So go to guitarzoom.com and sign up for VIP today.